Hello everyone, this is Satvik Sharma, a member of the Club of Programmers IIT BHU. In this video, I'll be talking about Digit DP, which is Digit Dynamic Programming. So Digit DP is a dynamic programming technique in which we focus on the digits of a number rather than its actual value. It is a very powerful technique which can be used to solve a large variety of problems. So the first question that comes up is, how do we recognize that a problem requires Digit DP? So the most common Digit DP problems require us to count the number of numbers in a range which satisfy a particular property. So if this property is dependent only on the digits of a number rather than its actual value, we can use Digit DP. So for example, some of these properties such as divisibility by 3 or 9. Now we all know that a number is said to be divisible by 3 or 9 only when its sum of the digits is divisible by 3 or 9. So this property, we can say that it does not depend on the value of the number, but instead it depends on the digits of the number. Also sum of the digits, count of unique digits, or palindromic substrings in a number, or even that a number is a palindrome or not. All these properties are only dependent on the digits of a number. The prerequisite is basic dynamic programming. You should know about basic dynamic programming, transitions and DP states, etc. This problem is from Codeforces, and the link to this problem is given in the document, and the link to the document is in the video description. This problem's difficulty level is 1900. So let us read the statement. Let's call some positive integer class C if its decimal representation contains no more than 3 non-zero digits. For example, these numbers are class C because their decimal representation contains no more than 3 non-zero digits, and these numbers are not. You are given a segment L, R. Count the number of class C integers x such that x lies between L and R inclusive. So first of all, let's look at the constraints of this problem. We have 10 to the power 4 test cases, and for each test case the segment can be as large as 10 to the power 18 in size. So the first thing that you should think about is that if you try brute force for this problem, and for each segment you check each number individually, if it contains less than or greater than 3 non-zero digits, then it will definitely get you time limit exceeded, because 10 to the power 4 into 10 to the power 18 is a 10 to the power 22, so that will time out. And also if you try to pre-calculate the answer for each n, let's say that you calculate the number of class C integers less than n for each n and try to store the answer for all those numbers, then you will get memory limit exceeded because you cannot store 10 to the power 18 answers in your memory. So definitely brute force will not work here. So how do we approach this problem? So this is a very general Digit DP problem, and I'll tell you the approach, and then you can apply that approach to basically almost all the Digit DP problems that you encounter. So first of all, we are given two integers L, R, and we have to find the number of class C integers between L and R. So the first thing that I should think about is, instead of calculating the number of class C integers between L and R, if I can calculate a function fn which gives me the number of class C integers in the range 0 to n, then also my work is done. Why? Because if I calculate this fn for each n fast enough, then my answer will simply be f of r minus f of L minus 1. Right? This will be my answer. So in each Digit DP problem, we should think about this strategy that if I need to calculate the answer for some segment, then first I should focus on calculating the answer for some particular number in the range 0 to n. How do I calculate my fn for any given n? So for example, let's say that my n is given to be 1, 2, 5, 6. This is my number n which is given to me, and I need to calculate f of n, which is the number of class C integers which is in the range 0 to n. So the first step that we do in any Digit DP problem is that we don't treat this number as a number, instead we treat it as a string of digits. So the first step that we do is we create a digit array for this number, and for each digit we put it in a separate position. 1, 2, 5 and 6, and my number, as you can see in the constraint, it can be as large as 10 to the power 18. So the size of this digit array should be at least 18 or 19 to be more exact. So for this number, obviously I will require some leading zeros here, and also these are also leading zeros. So this is my digit array for my number 1256. So now what I will do in this problem is that I will basically try to build numbers from left to right. That means from left to right I will build my numbers, and I will count the number of numbers which are less than 1256 and which are classy, which means that they have less than equal to 3 non-zero digits in their decimal representation. So what will be my dynamic programming states and transitions? Let's say that obviously my first state that I will require in my dynamic programming DP is the position that I'm on in the digit array, or basically how many digits that I've used till now. So this is I iterate over this digit array, digit by digit from left to right, and I is the number of digits that I have used, right? And the other state that I will require is C, and C is basically my count of the non-zero digits that I have till now in my number that I've created till now. So this also I require, because on the basis of this only I will calculate whether my number is valid or not. So these are the two states that I require. Now I also require a third state, which is flag. I denote it with F, or I just write flag. This flag is the most important state in my dynamic programming, and I will explain what this flag does in a moment. Say that I am building my number, and these are the leading zeros, and the number that I've built till now is this 1 2 dash dash. These dashes mean that I have not filled these digits yet. I am at this position in my digit array, and this is the number that I have built till now. So now I'm at this position, and I need to fill the next digit of this number. So as you can see, that the first condition that I need to be true is that the number that I'm building should be less than equal to my target number, which is 1256. So if I have this number till now, what is the range of my next digit that I can fill in this position? So obviously it is 0 to 5 only. Why? Because if I fill a digit, let's say 6 or let's say 7, anything greater than 5, then this number will be actually greater than my number n, and I do not want that. So if I have the number built till now 1 2 dash dash, then the range of my next digit will only be 0 till whatever digit I have in my original number, which in this case is 5. So I hope that is clear. But then there is another case. Let's move this. Second case is, what if the number that I've built till now 0 0 0 1 1 dash dash. So now this number till now we can see that it is less than n 1256, and this is just 1 1 dash dash. But now what is the range of my next digit that I have to fill here? Now you can see that I can fill any digit in the range 0 to 9. Why? Because even if I fill 9 here, and also let's say I fill 9 here, which is the maximum, then this number 1199 will still remain less than my original number 1256. And what is the reason for that? The reason for that is, in the number, in the prefix that I have built till now, I already have this one position where my digit is less than the digit of my original number. In the case of 1 2 dash dash, this was not true. All the digits of my prefix were exactly equal to the prefix of the original number, so we could just fill the next position with just 0 to 5. But now that I already have a position in which my digit is less than the original digit, then I can fill my next positions with any valid digit, which is 0 to 9. So for this we need this flag variable, which tells us whether in my prefix that I have built till now, is there at least one position where the digit that I have filled is strictly less than the original digit. If this condition is true, then that means that the digits that I am filling after that, I can fill them with any valid digit, 0 to 9. But if this condition is false, which I saw in the previous case, 0 0 1 2 dash dash, in this case the prefix that I have built is exactly equal to the prefix of my original number. So in that case I cannot fill my next positions with any digit. I can only fill them with the digits which are less than equal to the original digit. So this is what my flag variable tells us, that whether my prefix is strictly less than this original prefix or it is equal to the original prefix. So I just need a 0 1 value here. I can just take it as a boolean, which just tells me whether the prefix is less or equal. So I hope this is clear. So now how we will solve this problem. So as I said, in my DP I require 3 states, which is I, C and my flag. So now there are 3 cases here. Let's say that let's write the example here. N was 1 2 5 6, and let's say that my flag is equal to 0. Flag equal to 0, f equal to 0 means that the prefix that I have built is exactly equal to the original prefix, right? So the first case is that f is equal to 0, which means that the number that I have formed is of the form 1 2 dash dash. So now in this case, for the next digit, let's say I'm at this position, for the next digit I can fill only the numbers 0 to 5. So my first case is that I fill the numbers 1 2, and in this position I fill any number between 0 to 4 dash dash. In this case, what will happen is that my number will remain less than 1 2 5 6. My I will just become I plus 1. My C will become C plus 1 if I have filled a non-zero digit, and it will remain C if I have filled a 0 digit. That is obvious. But now my flag will become 1. In this case, F will now become 1. Why? Because now I have this position where my prefix is now strictly less than my original prefix if I fill a digit 0 to 4. So this is my transition in the first case. The second case is that I fill this position with the digit 5. 1 2 5 dash. In this case also I will just become I plus 1. C will become C plus 1 if this digit is non-zero, and it will remain C if this digit is 0. But now the difference is that F will remain 0 in this case, right? Because now I have maintained that the prefix is exactly equal to the original prefix. So that is why F will remain 0. So the last case is when F is equal to 1. F equal to 1 means F equal to 1 means that the prefix is strictly less than the original prefix, which means that, for example, my number that I have formed is of the form 1 1 dash dash. So now in this case I can fill any number in any digit in this position from 0 to 9. My I will just become I plus 1, C will become C plus 1 if the digit is non-zero, and F was 1 and it will remain 1. So these are my 3 transitions. So let us look at the code of this problem. So here is my main function where I have just taken the input of the test cases and A and B, which is my segment. I have outputted the count of B minus count of A minus 1. In my count function, first of all, I initialize my DP table to be minus 1, and then I make the digit array of the number n. So I have a digit array of size 20. First I fill it with zeros, then I take in this part I'm taking the number n digit by digit and then filling it in the digit array, and then I return solve 0, 0, 0, which means that I'm at the 0th position or the first position of the digit array. My C is 0, which means that I've used 0 non-zero digits till now, and my flag is also 0. This is my main recursive DP function, which includes memoization. So POS means the position of the digit array which I'm on. CNT is the count of the non-zero digits till now, and flag is the flag as I explained earlier. So if this dp value is not -1, then I'll just return this dp value. My base case is when I reach the end of my digit array and my number is fully formed. So at that point, if my count of non-zero digits is less than equal to 3, then I return 1 because then this number is classy. Else I return 0 because this number is not classy. And if I'm not at my end of digit array, that means that I'm not at the end of my digit array, which means that I still have positions to fill, so I still have transitions to make. So here are my 3 cases. The first case is when flag is already 0. So first case is when I fill my next position with a digit which is less than the original digit. So as you can see, I loop from 0 to less than the original digit, and I add the answer for POS plus 1, count plus d not equal to 0, and now I set my flag to be 1 because now my prefix will be strictly less than my original prefix. And at the end I just add the answer for POS plus 1, count plus my original digit not equal to 0 and 0, because when I put the original digit in the next position, then flag will remain 0. The third case is when flag is already 1, then in that case I can just fill my position with any digit in the range 0 to 9, and at the end I return this value. So this is the code. I hope that you understood it, and now that you can do this question on by yourself. So in my practice problems, I've included this question that I just discussed and 2 questions from CodeChef, which are similar to this question, but they're a little harder because they contain checking for palindromes and stuff. But if you understood digit DP, then you can easily work through these problems. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like, share and comment on this video, and keep watching COPS IIT BHU.